Right, gentlemen, bombs away. Alan, have you heard about the Mexican kamikaze squadron?
Kamikazes! Like that.
That's right, only Mexican. And,
I care not for myself, only my country.
Very good indeed. Very good indeed.
For the emperor!
Andale.
I just imagine a bloke in a big hat riding a donkey into the Alamo.
They eat so many refried beans, they fart themselves to death. And they explode in front of the enemy.
Well, it's oddly interesting thought, because kamikaze is the Japanese for divine wind.
Divine wind?
Yes, that's what it means, oddly enough. It is a Japanese word.
God's guff.
Yeah. But these little Mexican critters...
they're not people.
Exactly, not people, were deployed by the US Army in the Second World War against the Japanese.
They're not like the dolphins they deployed in the war against Iraq.
No, they're not.
They let them out.
What they call
they pissed off.
Mark 8 MMS Marine Mammal System.
What are the odds that the Iraqi Navy will be leaning out from a boat with a flaming hoop like that?
But a critter will be some sort of a desert fox.
No, well, very close, actually.
It's got to be an insect, hasn't it?
It's between an insect and a fox.
Between an insect and a fox. In size, or
it's kind of, in fact, it is more fox-like than insect-like, but it flies. It's quite fox-like.
A bat.
A bat is the answer.
Yeah, a Mexican bat.
A Mexican bat.
Oh!
You're not going to like this. It's
How do you know
horrible.
that's Mexican without sombrero?
Well, it's actually... Hundreds of these bats with little waistcoats. They went there with napalm in them and a detonator. And the idea was to drop them over Japanese towns round about dawn, so that as the light came, as all bats will, to escape the light, they would go into, as you say, the eaves and the rafters of the houses.
Yes.
And then, at a particular time, would detonate, causing these whole towns to burn, because most Japanese towns are made of wood and paper.
Mm-hmm. You've got to set the napalm off, so they have to follow them out with somebody.
Well, there's some sort of ignition device incorporated.
What are they saying for that?
A little book of matches.
There is a poetic justice, however. Sorry. As a friend of our fairy creatures, you will be pleased to know that poetic justice prevailed, and that before they ever used these bats against the Japanese, they were testing, and the wind changed, and the bats had been dropped on a target little wooden city in the desert, were blown back to the headquarters of the American Army and blew it up.
I don't find it poetic.
Do you not find it poetic?
Well, I'm American. As I understand it, the kamikaze pilots, they only gave them enough fuel to go one way, right?
Yes.
They do that with all planes, though.
Right.
Our next picture question. Why is this picture a double first?
Are they going to use the penguin to blow up the Scotsman?
It's a brilliant one.
First time the pipes are played in the Antarctica.
Yes, it's probably the first time a penguin was ever subjected to any kind of music.
Penguin, 2 seconds later, went like that.
Is this the first ever Edinburgh Festival?
Would that it were. Now, did you know...
Would that it were, Stephen?
Would that it were? Would that it were? No, shush and tittens.
This one for mother and oldest son.
Did you know that 50% of pipers, I don't mean newspipers, I mean bagpipers, 50% of pipers suffer from repetitive strain injury and also are hard of hearing?
Well, that is poetic justice.
That's exactly. Very good. Excellent. Question 1, and that's for Rich. What would you say if I said to you that the British Empire was built on diarrhoea?
Say you were full of shit. Any word that ends in "ria" is just bad news, isn't it? Diarrhea, pyorrhea, gonorrhea, North Korea.
North Korea.
Chris Rea?
Yeah.
To be fair, now, speaking of someone obviously whose antecedents were members of the British Empire themselves, happily, of course, diarrhea was very much the least of our problems while the English were in the country. Really, we'd have been glad of a bit of diarrhea. I mean, there's very few recorded conversations between Irish peasants in the 1840s that went, "Paddy, you're looking very thin. I know the food is just running through me at the moment." This spicy British food doesn't appeal to me at all.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, of course, the question is oddly framed because actually the British Empire came about because the British was the first imperial power to overcome the problem of diarrhea. Up until the 18th century, almost every invading army anywhere in the world was laid low by diarrhea, particularly the French. They kept having excrement so close to their food, if not on it. And it was not understood that this was a bad... Who invented straight roads? Alan.
The Romans.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, I'm afraid not.
You haven't caught me or anything because I knew that was going to happen.
Did you? Did you? Yes, it's
And
not.
I'll have you know that they did.
No, they didn't. They rebuilt a lot of straight roads that were already there.
The Romans would make a road that would go 50, 100 miles.
Yes.
Stane Street, that goes from Chichester to London, is 60 or 70 miles long. No one thought to go that far in a straight line until they did.
I think in terms of distance, you may well be right, that they probably built the longest straight roads, but there were
People
many...
would come across the Roman road and go, blimey, this must be a Roman road. They invented going really, really far in a straight line.
Yes, which wasn't the question, sadly. Oh, would that it had been. No, there was a dense network of roads in the pre-Roman Iron Age of very straight roads, but you're quite right, they weren't as vast.
Do you know that in America, some of the roads in the Midwest are so straight and go on straight for so long that then they have to make a right turn and then go straight
Really?
again.
Because people go loopy, is it?
No, to account for the curvature of the Earth so that it conforms to the map.
Good God. That's fantastic. Well, there you are.
And do you know that in Montana, a policeman will pull you over because he's lonely? Happened to me all the time.
Why do the Americans drive on the right?
Well, I guess because we invented the car.
I'm awfully sorry to put you right on that. You didn't even come close to inventing it.
We invented
the first two Germans who got there way before. Another proof, of course, is that in Ireland there were many, many, many straight roads, and the Irish were never invaded by the Romans, were you? You never
No, they never got as far as us. Absolutely not.
absolutely.
Which we actually do regret to this day because we have no great architecture that dates back to then. We have a
We've
lack
got
of...
cromlechs.
Well, we have our own little, mounds and stuff that we're quite happy with. That I had to drag my sorry ass around on school trips for.
Boys, we're off to see a mound today.
and our imagination ran riot, but it was never what we expected.
And do you know why the grass is greener in Ireland than over here?
Is it because of limestone in the
No,
grass?
it's because you're all over here walking on ours.